Noel Design Co, where we paint awesome furniture and I show you how. So today we are gonna lay the foundation for a multicolored piece on this buffet, and I am going to be using joint compound to start out. So before we start, I'm gonna let you know that I have cleaned this piece with TSP, I rinsed it well, and I have a coat of clear primer on it. Anytime I work with a buffet like this where I usually always use primer, but anytime where I'm working with something like this and I know I'm gonna do a multicolored look, I always apply a primer just as a protective barrier for my paint. So, like I said, I'm gonna start laying the foundation with the joint compound. And we're gonna do that down here. So my idea for this piece is I want to kind of have it almost beachy. So this is gonna be like browns and oranges, and it's gonna fade into like light blues. So I wanna lay a lot of texture down, so it's kind of like the beach down here, and then we lay texture up here. Now, will it turn out like that? Who knows? Furniture takes on a personality of its own. So I'm just gonna start just using joint compound, and I'm gonna start just scraping it on the bottom here, just to create some texture. And I'm gonna go horizontal because I want my bottom texture to be horizontal. So I'm planning on going to about up to here, to the bottom of these here. So I'm gonna lay that, and I just wanna make sure I avoid any of my cracks. Okay, so as I'm pulling this up, I'm starting to let some of it go so that it's thinner up here and then thicker down here. All right, so as I finish this up, I want to take one of my crocodile cloths here and just want a nice big wipe out. I'm going to get as much of this off my cutting knife as possible. And I just want to make sure like things are clean, like my hinges. I don't want any joint compound on my hinges. And then I want to clean up all my edges and just make sure that there's nothing too sharp or built up too high. I will run sandpaper over this, but for the most part, I want to do it while it's wet because it's a little bit easier. And then I'm going to pull this open and just wipe this bottom off because that will make it stick. That'll stick when it dries. So we just want to make sure our edges are clean when you're working with texture. Other than that, I'm gonna finish this whole side and then we'll move into part 2. All right, so our joint compound is dry, and now I'm gonna do some of the cleanup work. I went ahead and put some tape over my hinges. I decided I would do that so they don't get caked up with paint, and I can put some building wax on them afterwards. And now I'm gonna take my box cutter, and I'm just gonna cut around all of these edges to make sure that my door opens and closes, okay? And I'm actually, while it's open, I'm just gonna take a rough grit sandpaper block, and I'm gonna hit all of my edges. And then I'm also gonna go ahead and run sandpaper just over this to make sure that there's no sharp edges. Like, I can feel that there's a little bit of sharpness here, but I just wanna smooth this space out. There we go. Now I'm gonna vacuum all this up, and then we'll paint over this, and you won't ever know that there was joint compound on here. Hey guys, so I am on the fun part. I am painting this now. The bottom layer is Mojave, and that is from Dixie Belle. I used the silk line because I wanted a little something to seal that joint compound down there. Another good option is Wisal 1 Hour Enamel. I like to use a paint that is advertised as not needing a top coat, so that's why I use that. My second color here is Sea La Vie from Daydream Apothecary, and it is, gosh, a gorgeous turquoise, and I mixed that with salt wash. And then the last color I'm using here is Saltwater from Daydream Apothecary in the Coastal line, and I have mixed this with salt wash as well, which just kind of gives it like a texture. You just want to add enough to where you got a good texture like this. So my paint is still wet, and I'm just taking a brush and I'm going across and just kind of hitting this to blend it a little bit more, okay? So it's turning green because we got yellow and blue. So we're building our water. And I want to say I actually got this backwards. I think water is supposed to get lighter as it comes towards the shore. I honestly can't picture it right now. But anyway, I'm gonna go up with a lighter color, and then we're gonna keep building layers, so it's not really gonna matter. So I'm just gonna use the same brush because I don't like washing brushes. And I'm gonna stipple my paint on like this. This is called stippling. And I'm just adding a ton of texture so that when I go over this in my layers, my texture is gonna really show through. It's gonna show a ton of depth. Hey guys, so I went ahead and painted the top of this with an off-white color, and I pulled that color all the way down through this buffet. And then now I'm taking my lighter blue color and I'm just stippling in the corners and where it looks a little bit bare. You can see that you can still see some of the original maroon color through here. I'm going to be leaving that because I do like the way it looks. And then I'm just taking my brush and I'm dragging it down through here and just laying color with my brush as dry as it could be. It's pretty dry, you can see. So I'm barely rubbing any color on my hand. That's exactly how I want it to go on my piece. Just really light, just to create more depth. And then I'm gonna do this with as many colors as it takes until my heart is happy with the piece. And then until I think it looks good. So that is our next step. Hey guys, let's do a wood grain top. So I am gonna start with Soul Full of Sunshine from the Neons by Anissa collection in the Daydream Apothecary line. I'm just gonna go ahead and spread this out because it is my lightest color. My base color here is, what is it? Saltwater. It is saltwater. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this Soul Full of Sunshine in a few spots on here. Pretty thick, not using any water yet. And then I'm gonna go into some ground control, which is Daydream's white. Any white will work. This is just to lighten it up a little. I want it to look like really cool beech wood. And last, I'm gonna put Sea Levy from the Coastal collection. Here I'm gonna start adding a little bit of water. Okay, I'm gonna spread it out nice and even. Oh, it's so pretty. Okay. Now, I'm gonna come in with my wood graining tool. And I'm gonna start from here. And I'm gonna pull. Just move it. We'll go back this way. Move it all the way up, down. Wiggle, wiggle. This is really easy. Just move it. The key is to keep moving it while you go. And if you don't love it, you can go right over it like I'm doing. Going over some of the spots I feel like need a little bit. Okay. We're gonna let that dry.